And they love being owners. Oh, what? You tell me Jerry Jones doesn't remind you of a slave owner?
For sure.
Jerry Jones.
100%.
Yeah. Hey.
And he's just collecting them. Not even doing anything with the boys. The Cowboys ain't done nothing in years. Like just gathering them up like Pokemon.
He just wants
to do nothing.
He just wants a stable.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
It's wild.
That is crazy.
He said, "Gotta catch them all."
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's just like, I want 100 Ratatas.
Yeah.
I don't want.
You go into the bushes to find them.
They're gonna say it's Ratata. I know, I fucked up, but he just wants some bullshit.
Yes.
Is the point.
No, I like Ratata.
Yeah. I like the way it sounded.
Yeah, it
nice
too.
The government growing babies. Microchips in your anus. All koala bears are racist. The ozone layer owes me money. Martians invented turkey stuffing. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
From the A to Toronto, we let the metal go off, and my dick's so hard it make the metal detector go off. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, Gentiles and little mamas alike. Welcome to another phenomenal episode of My Momma Told Me.
Podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories.
And we finally work to prove whatever the fuck you want us to prove. You call in, you tell us what you want us to believe, and we'll do our best.
Yeah, well, I think we try really hard
to make all your
not
nonsense work. No, we don't. We give time.
I think that we devote time to this.
That is our love language, is we give our time.
And you know what? Yeah, maybe it's not thoughtful. Maybe we were going to forget some birthdays.
A lot of birthdays.
Maybe we didn't pick up everything you wanted us to at Safeway. I'm sorry. I forgot you were out of pistachios, but we're still together.
Wasn't going to write it down, baby.
We're still in love. Right? I got my half of the rent. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're here. We dedicate our time to you.
Yeah.
You know what I've been thinking about? And this is a very recent thought. You know the little fella who has cancer, the little guy who has cancer that Trump made the...
Come on, man.
Wait.
Come on, man.
You know that he made the honorary Secret Service member?
You think he's secretly older than he is?
Nah, I think those kids were right to bully him.
Nigga, you're... Okay, let's open it up. Here's one thing.
Take a second and think about what I'm saying.
How old is he?
He's 13.
I think that...
And Rachel, feel free to jump in. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
It's okay.
I don't know.
I think that dressing up like a cop at 13
come on,
is not great.
Come on.
I don't know, and I'm dancing carefully. I don't know what his capabilities are underneath the police hat. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
Come on. You guys can't leave me alone.
No.
You please can't leave me alone.
I don't know. I might have to plead the fifth.
Lex is crying.
I don't know.
What are you doing? No, I agree.
Thank you. We're wondering it. Everybody's wondering where he's at.
Listen.
Is he 13? You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
Is it 8?
He's got a lot going on already.
Yeah.
He has a lot going on.
He does.
For a 13-year-old, it is a lot of fucking work to not address things that are happening that feel different. That is of every race, of every culture. You are a child surrounded by other children who want to be like, what the fuck is happening with you? And then you put a toy cop outfit on top of it?
But it wasn't other 13-year-olds making fun. It looked like adults.
Why are you there? You apparently have a whole family that cares about you, and this nigga is in the parking lot with a blue toy gun while niggas are roasting him.
Maybe he lives in apartments. You end up in parking lots.
We can't make a lot of assumptions about having a loving
you're
family.
13 years old.
All I'm saying is, now you chime in.
I don't know. might not have a loving family.
All I'm saying is the whole illusion that they're trying to present to us is that this was a nice young man who was just being abused by his community. And that don't feel like what this is to me. They don't feel like they were roasting him because of how he looked every single day. They're roasting him because he came to a fucking parking lot at midnight and was like,
there's no time
go
on
to
it,
bed, go to bed.
That's crazy. You created midnight.
You created midnight. I think he's doing vigilante justice in whatever bullshit neighborhood he's from.
He might be a rich kid. And you don't even know he's broke like that.
I got a good feeling.
Well, I don't think he comes from money.
Stand up for me now.
I'm just saying I don't think he comes from money. I don't think,
This isn't a boy with resources. That's why they picked him in the first place. I'm saying that this all feels like a manipulation of a story, and that if you start that camera 10 minutes before, you will see a very annoying kid start some shit with a bunch of kids that were minding their fucking business, and then they went in. So yeah, they were right. Take your weird ass home in a fucking police uniform.
I wanted you to say you thought he was older than he is. Because that one's fun. Yeah. Have you seen the video where you talk about being sexy? And you're like, what are you doing?
I've seen a few Lil Man conspiracies.
I seen on YouTube, they said that his dad is a Mason.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
It definitely feels very cherry-picked in a way that I don't trust at all. No, just the whole story feels super cherry-picked.
All those stories were, I mean, I don't want to get back into it, but it's like, there's all smoke and mirrors over there. That guy is a liar. Yeah.
I think objectively, either way, that's sort of the point, is that we're dealing with a liar. And if that means that he gets bullied in his neighborhood, so be it.
Okay.
All right.
That is tough to go on. I understand as well. It's a difficult. I think two things. I want to say I think two things can be true.
Okay.
I think he was probably being a little dick, because what kid that age who is up to speed? What kid that age dresses like a cop who doesn't suck?
That's all I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
That's all I'm saying. He
sucks.
Of
course. Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
And so if you got to bully him a little bit, so what? That's all I'm saying. If you got to bully him just a little bit because he sucks. It's not like they beat him up.
No.
Sure.
They didn't put hands on him.
They just roasted him. Crime.
Yeah, they didn't do a crime.
No.
They just told him he looked like shit.
Yeah.
And he didn't even look like shit. It's not like he was like swagged out. Yeah. It wasn't even a good cop uniform.
Wasn't a sexy cop.
And he doesn't fit it good. It's none of it.
Yeah.
And he decides if kids are sexy cops or not. Of course.
Yeah.
Don't put this on me. He just came and tried to say it's okay to bully a slow kid.
Well, you're saying he's slow.
I don't think he's slow. I think he's sick.
Do you think he's fast?
Yeah, he's a genius. He's in college now.
That cannot be true.
The man's a Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
Would a slow kid be a Secret Service agent?
I think so.
Try again, David.
Under this administration,
yeah.
You're goddamn right it would be. I don't know how fast Cash Patel is.
Whoa. Our guest today.
Anyway.
We haven't introed her yet. We've burned most bridges with a lot of communities, but I'm excited.
I'm gonna watch this show.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah.
They could though. We're cutting off our muscle milk potential.
You want that? You want that money?
I want that money.
You gotta live like that though.
That's true.
Then they have access to you. You gotta
they're gonna
tell your kids that these guys like you.
They're gonna need to see me drinking the milk. I can't
for sure.
I can't just say I drink it.
No,
or see us.
They're gonna be and they're gonna know.
Yeah,
they're gonna smell it on you or not smell it on you. That's really.
Yeah, you don't smell like a sick cow. You didn't drink our milk. Wait a minute, you didn't drink our milk. Our guest today, she's so funny. You know her from writing on amazing shows, Harley Quinn, Blockbuster, killing it. Keenan, we crossed over at the legendary program Keenan from NBC.
People still want to work.
Well,
masterpiece
come
of a
on,
program.
a beautiful time, a perfect time for television, I would say.
I've said that.
Yeah.
She's so funny, and she has a brand new album. It just came out.
Yeah.
Called Silly, Loud, Delightful.
Yeah.
Give it up for Rachel Pegram, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now remember, that's louder for them.
And I'll
Good.
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quiet in here, but I'm trusting y'all. It's louder
Yeah.
elsewhere.
In here, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to humble myself every time I look at that.
Rachel, you came to us today with a conspiracy theory that I'm excited about. I don't know how you felt about this one. I think I knew this in my heart and had heard whispers of it, but never really put any real thought to it until this got presented. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited to talk about it. But you said, my mama told me.
Freeways and highways were designed to ruin Black neighborhoods.
Yes. Correct.
Tell us everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I also did like some additional like looking up afterwards because I was like, I know it in my mind, but like also I was like, let me like see. It's across every major city and also in smaller communities. It was the Highway Act of 1956.
1 second. I'm a little worried. She's doing your job, my man.
No, she's snapping.
Yeah,
I'm not going to stop her.
You kind of got him.
No.
You got the
sauce, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Nobody
excited.
ever shows up with a year.
ever. This is big.
This is cool.
I'm not gonna lie, I got excited when it was chosen because I was like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
It's 1956. It was brought forward, and it was like, oh, we're gonna like connect the cities and the highways or whatever, and like, we'll just like have them go through. And there were actually so many options where they could have not gone through Black neighborhoods specifically, and they chose to anyway. There's literally one in Nashville where they curved into a Black neighborhood, didn't need to curve in, and like they could have gone around. Like multiple where it was like there was a railroad, the empty railroad, no one lived there. They were like, no, through the Black neighborhood. It's constant, it's everywhere. I think it also actually coincides with the building of stadiums that specifically, I think every time a stadium is built, it decimates a Black community.
Wow.
So yeah, that is, my dad was what kind of pointed it out to me, and then I started noticing it. It's truly all over.
How old is your dad?
My dad is 83.
Oh, wow.
Where's he from?
He was around.
Yeah, he was
before the highways.
Oh,
he was there before the highways, while they were being built.
There used to be a school there.
He remembers it all.
He don't even call himself Black.
No.
Negro is a proud word.
Yeah, that's a colored man. That's a proud colored man. Yeah, my dad, but my dad's like, he's all about a conspiracy. Like, he loves like or just like the ideas of around like the NFL, and like he's like, that's the slave trade.
I was just going in about it at the basketball game Wednesday night. I hate how the NFL's set up.
Yeah.
The combine is a fascinating thing because it truly doesn't really exist in any other like athletic endeavor.
Then all of a sudden Shador's stock is falling.
Yeah, and also just the idea of like, let's line these boys up and make them prove that they are what we've seen them to be the whole time. It's not like they're just random boys.
No.
Yeah.
Like if this were you truly, I just walked in and was like, hey man, I want to play professional football. Yeah, make me run 40 yards to make sure I can do that shit. But why the fuck are you making, you know what I mean? The best of the best already do this shit.
Who cares if you can, how many times you can rep 225?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I hate it.
All right. Well, you believe that this is the case.
Yes.
You know it because of this act that sort of takes place. You see it on the map.
Yes.
Are you spreading the news? Are you like, what effort are you making to solve this problem?
Right.
If any.
Right.
This is a new
Black
term.
people? I'm curious.
Are we starting to ask people that?
I just want to know: does it matter enough? I guess is the question. Maybe that's a better way of framing it.
Oh,
I'm not asking you to be an activist
and like get out there.
Yeah. How do we
get on the highway?
Who have you told?
Change. Well, no, actually, it is in Syracuse. One of the highways, I think it's I-81, that like also split a Black neighborhood. The highway is now falling apart.
Wow.
And so they're actually having to reconcile with, do we fix the highway or do we maybe tear it down and rebuild or like give back to but they're kind of like up against a whole thing of like, what does that mean? What does it mean to like give back to a community that maybe isn't there anymore? Who is going to like take the land if you get rid of the highway? Who's going to be able to afford it? Does it actually get back to the community? So I do think like, because there was also some like thing that Biden did where he was like trying to give money back to like restructuring the highways. So,
and since we're hitting some of the research already, part of what Biden did was during that, remember he had that giant infrastructure bill that he was working on, $2 trillion infrastructure bill. $20 billion of that was dedicated towards exactly what you're describing of like making amends for what they fully acknowledged they did. Of rebuilding highways intentionally, not rebuilding, but building highways intentionally through Black neighborhoods and brown neighborhoods as well.
Yeah. So my question, is it primarily Black and brown, or was it also, is this like a class issue, or was it truly just like
racial?
No, it's
straight up race.
Straight up race.
God damn, I hate
poor white people were avoided.
Mm-hmm.
Even like in their homes, like they were
love
avoided.
the highway. They love that.
There's NASCAR coming through their house. They would have liked that shit.
That would have been nice. Yeah, they would have moved in.
They like to watch cars go fast.
No, this was 100% them being like, we are, and part of the reason that it was happening is because of the civil rights movement, specifically changes around integration. So they were watching them lose, the nation lose on policy, basically saying, now you have to integrate your communities.
Right.
And then they went, no, we don't. Not if we put a highway.
Now we section it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There were communities that were integrated that they didn't like. And then they would be like, okay, we're putting the highway through these integrated communities.
Yep.
Damn. Kind of solved it early, huh?
No, I mean, there's
so much.
There's a lot here. It's not just it doesn't just limit itself there. Maybe we should take a break.
Oh, sorry.
No. Ask your question.
My question is, what's the timeline? Because it's like, when is what I'm asking.
This was in response to things that were happening in the 60s and 70s.
But like,
so we're talking 70s, I guess 60s and 70s is when the highways start to really hit that build.
And my other question is, outside of, because it's obviously not all Black neighborhoods, outside of that, let's say the Black neighborhoods here, they bent it this way. What happens to these other communities? Like, does it lower the status of all the communities that the highways goes through? And they just primarily did it through Black neighborhoods, and then they did it through other places as well that they just didn't give a fuck about? Like, how deliberate is the mapping of it?
I mean, I think to Rachel's point, as deliberate as they could make it.
Man,
like, so intentional. It's crazy how intentional it is when you look at the maps of like, there are areas where they could have gone and they chose truly to say, ride through your house, like ride through your home. They said, there's actually a park. There's an empty lane. There's no one there. There's trash heaps. No. We'd like to keep that.
Look, that's where teens smoke cigarettes. We could ride through that, but no. We're gonna go
those
through
white teens do.
Yeah.
If they can't go outside and smoke a cigarette, have sex with their girlfriend.
Who's thinking of the white youth?
Yeah.
No, it truly, it could not have been more intentional. It could not have been more malicious, which is why Joe Biden in 2020 or whatever the fuck is being like, yo, we gotta fix this.
Yeah.
Where's that stand now?
Right.
Well, Joe Biden,
he's still working on it.
Joe Biden, I think, is running in a few years.
Okay.
I think he's gonna want that second term.
Yeah.
And I think he felt like it got taken away from him a little early, so he's gonna give it one more shot. But currently, no, I don't know that bill's gonna.
They're actually building more highways.
Yeah.
They're going to take them through more neighborhoods now. Yeah.
And now they're naming the highway
We're
Niggerville.
racist. We're racist too. All the Hmong people up north in Michigan, watch out. Everybody gets a highway.
Fuck. Maybe we should take a break. We'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little more of the research and I also have some new questions that I think some of this research sparked for me that I would love to present to both of you. That sound good?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Rachel Pegram, more My Momma Told Me.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America.
I hate it that he says, "Do you have your shots?" It's like the way that feels. Who's saying that to somebody?
Yeah. To a crowd of Ethiopians? Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Also, I had to get a gang of shots to go to Africa.
Yeah.
A bunch of shots.
No, it's not it's not untrue.
All the series of shots.
Mm-hmm.
He's worried about them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Do you have your shots?
Yeah.
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 Rachel, one of the things that this conversation made me think of as I was sort of researching it is this clip that came up fairly recently. There's this clip of Trevor Noah's podcast that went somewhat viral of him asking a question, a very leading question. He very clearly had a stance in the conversation, but a leading question about whether or not integration was actually best. That if it was in fact the right thing for Black people to integrate into white society.
Who do you ask this to?
He's talking to this Princeton African American studies professor. He's having like an interview with her, and he sort of presents the argument, essentially saying that and he keeps making this reference to Finland and how in Finland they are all homogenous and they're all like-minded because of that, homogenous sort of like network that they've built, that everybody thinks the same and has the same goals in mind. And that is only possible through hegemony rather than like this weird mixing that we've done. And I have complicated feelings on it.
Yeah, but it's founded on that. It's always been that. What are you going to unintegrate this? What are you talking about?
That's sort of the challenge that I found myself up against.
I think that's stupid. I have heard dreadheads talk about that shit, though.
Yeah.
I have heard, Black people specifically, not so much the integration was a bad idea, but the idea that, when Italians came here and made their own neighborhoods, they had their chances to make their own doctors and policemen and whatever, and it built up that way. And we never really got to have that stable footing because we were integrated before that type of thing could happen.
I almost disagree that didn't happen. I think it did happen. I think that there were deliberate ways, even prior to integration, that those communities were broken apart.
Right.
That
is the ultimate
you know what
point,
I mean?
That's what I mean. We never got to
you don't get to that full pinnacle. But also when white people are immigrating, like Italians, Polish people, whatever, it's eventually you're just white.
Yeah,
you just lose all of your ethnicity.
Yeah, you get to become...
Yeah. Recently, I learned that Andy Warhol was Polish. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm white,
Wasn't he from Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I don't know.
I was just like, oh, but he's not just a white guy. He was a Polish guy. But then you can just mask it. So I think it's completely different than in Finland. You can't make a one-to-one comparison.
Yeah, it's that's why it's a stupid, I feel like it's a flawed way.
He also goes on this weird not tangent, but he makes this weird caveat in the beginning of it of being removing sort of the malice of the separation, that if you're not taking away our resources, but it's the reason people wanted to integrate was because they weren't being provided resources.
Yeah,
it's not like we were desperate to be amongst the white people. I say I'm the product of the integration, frankly. But
you're a great guy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But no, thanks.
I agree.
That means a lot. But it's not that black people were desperate to be with white people.
Yeah, right.
It's that like y'all would not provide basic resources for black people pre-integration.
Yeah.
And you weren't suddenly going to do it if we just like have a handshake deal and say, we'll never live next to your daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels like a false start.
It's like a smart dumb guy thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels like a fake gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, integration.
Yeah. Well, brother.
Maybe you shouldn't have been integrated. And it's like, well, wait.
I mean, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that rocks. Where would we be now?
Yeah.
What would that do?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no, there's
Did he like
there's gold in Inglewood. Yeah, you're right. No, we should have just dug for the gold ourselves.
Did he come around the corner, or it was just ultimately the point? Because
I mean, the professor very much agreed with him. And so it became, in my opinion, two people being wrong, being like, you right.
Right.
To each other.
Fun.
And I don't mean to, I'm sure she had a more complicated answer than I took it to mean. But basically, her argument was that we accepted integration as if it was our only option. When in fact, there were alternatives to segregation or integration. Now, where I take issue is she never really explains what those alternatives are.
Right.
Convenient.
Yeah.
What were they?
And
what are you going to do?
And I think
How
it's
you gonna
really
get this better
interesting
school?
when people now like to have a strong opinion about what the past and what they would have done.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they could have done something. And I'm like, but you weren't there. You don't know the options that people were faced and like what they were like choosing and like what you had to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
If integration looked like it would help you and your family right there, right then, that's a very different option than you all the way on the other side of it being like, actually, it could have been a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I
morals
bet
are a lot stronger in the river. It just... I don't like that at all.
And I bet she is she's an African American studies professor at Princeton. I imagine she's very learned on the subject of the happenings of that era. But I don't think that any amount of like reading can actually make you experience or fully empathize with what it feels like in that moment where you are being presented with like, if I found out my kid was like at a school with poison water, and then the other school didn't have poison water, I want them at the school without the poison water. I don't give a fuck if that means that like I have to then introduce this more complicated problem in my life. And maybe it is more complicated. I don't know. I just don't want my baby poisoned.
Yeah.
That's all they were feeling.
No, I think like, as I was saying earlier, my dad, 83 years old. So he was around for integration and like told me about like the different schools that he went to. And like when he went to a school that was all black and then when he went to a school that was integrated. And so he was with a lot of white kids and just like even the education difference and like the kinds of teachers that he got. He did say, I mean, it's not a 1-to-1, but it's like when he was at an all black school, it's like he got to have black teachers.
Yeah.
He got to be like taught by other people that look like him and like they were helping him. However, there's like maybe certain subjects that weren't covered because if they didn't have a teacher that was, knowledgeable there, you wouldn't have it. Versus when he got to a white school, okay, you maybe have like a math teacher who like knows a little more.
Yeah, math was one of the subjects that wasn't.
I don't know that math was one of the ones. Let's not call that out. Math might have been there.
I was hoping it was an art teacher.
Let me just say, I think math was there.
All right,
listen.
But like maybe
the man can't count. But his words are so beautiful.
Like I don't know, geometry or something, I just know that it was like, okay,
my daddy do this.
Things.
Yeah, when he added up the bill, my daddy do this. But he says, may I have the check, please, so beautifully.
Hey, he's great at science.
Yeah, about 3 different languages. Yeah. No, but it's just like different opportunities and in different, and like, even just like the facilities and the kinds of like, funding that you get. But it's not that the black schools, if those had been more funded, that they wouldn't have maybe wanted to be there. But like that funding wasn't going to happen.
Right. Without the integration. That's why it's not that's why it's such a crazy. And that argument feels like it's like trusting white people a lot.
In a way where like they're just gonna make
like,
this.
No, they would have helped you take care of it. Like that's Why would you? Why?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
They burned Tulsa to the ground.
I'm saying. I'm
They
saying.
were like, this shit makes us so mad.
No, we can't
don't
even
want a city no more.
We can't have this.
We don't want this to exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no fucking way they were just gonna let niggas ride off of like some alternative to whatever they
or
were
even give them any kind of a leg up.
Yeah.
When has that been the history of any of this to get help, let alone an even playing field? So I think that like argument is like
it also presumes that things like the highways being built the way that they are just a one-off of things that they've done to us historically.
Yeah.
That like, I'm sure there are tens and tens and tens of things that we take for granted that are just slightly different than we realize. Like, for example, where I'm from a suburb called Oak Park. And on the Oak Park side, or rather our neighborhood is adjacent to a place called Austin in Chicago. Austin notoriously is one of the rougher neighborhoods in Chicago. But we are right next to it. A big street separates us called Austin.
Right.
On the Oak Park side of our street, the lights are white. On the Chicago side of the street, the lights are yellow.
Man, I hate walking down a yellow ass street at night alone. I hate a yellow ass street.
It's the same
it's so scary.
fucking like same street.
Yeah.
But this one's white. This one's yellow. Y'all don't think that's a little like, yo, just so y'all know, signature, go that, you know what I mean? Like, they're telling you
it's
straight
intentional.
up.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck about what's over there. That's why we made the street lights yellow, so they'll drive these niggas crazy.
Yeah, it's the color of crime.
It feels like crime.
That's what
is the color of crime.
Close your eyes and imagine a crime being committed on the street.
It ain't white street lights.
It's yellow ass lights.
Yeah.
I know what it looks like.
I never thought I was gonna get hit in the face under a white light.
No.
It's a yellow light. It's blinky. It's a little blinky.
Yes, that shit's about to go out, and you're next to a basketball court with no rims.
No, it's those kinds of small things that I think move so far past just highways that I think this kind of argument of like, well, we shouldn't have never integrated in the first place from a South African makes it feels nasty. It feels so silly because we're so buried in white supremacy, frankly.
Yes. It's like been like years and decades of oppression, of being displaced, of being moved, of being told you can't be here, of like establishing yourself and then having to like have your community decimated. And then you're presented with an opportunity where perhaps you might get a little bit more for your community.
Truly.
Like that's going to look a lot different than like, oh, well, actually it's going to come with these caveats. It's like, well, I don't know that you're going to see all of those caveats when you're like coming from a place of like
in a system that's baked in to keep you down. Any leg up you take, like
yeah. No, it felt nasty in a way that I didn't want to be angry at it, because I do in my heart of hearts believe that we as people would have been better off if we were able to kind of like build our own and sort of privatize blackness for longer, incubate this shit for a little bit in an effective way. But on the flip side, it feels so short-sighted to what the actual like lived experience was for all of the people that survived that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just time and time again. Like, there's Tulsa, but then also where I'm from in Texas, I'm from a little town called Denton. And
outside of Dallas.
Yeah. And so in Denton, my family was from a part of town where there's like a predominantly Black community that like once they got emancipated, they like moved in, and it was like right by, unfortunately, the Texas Women's University. Wow. And so this community was there and it was thriving. They had a full downtown, and sometimes the women from the university would come and they would buy things from the shops. And then everyone at the university got anxious, paranoid about it. The Klan came to the town and said, we're burning down the school. You guys need to warn them, like, you know, and they burned down the school. They burned down half of the town. And then Texas Women's University said, you have to move the town. You need to move where all the Black people are. So you
have to move the town, not like burn down university.
I'm so
because
serious.
White ladies wanted to go shop.
Yes,
but they already burned the university.
No, they didn't burn the university. They burned the school in the town.
They burned like the local high school.
Yes. And so the Klan burned the school for the black kids in the town. And then they had to move the town overnight on logs. And they moved it to another part of town, which is literally where I'm from, which is Southeast Denton. And so they moved the whole town over there. And then now is a park where they've sort of recreated some little monuments to say like, well, this is what was here. But I guess that's what I mean to say it with it is like, this happens all over the country where there's black people who've established themselves. They got a lot of money. They were doing well. They had commerce. They had capitalism, etc. Oh, it's bothering white people, or oh, I don't like the way you're thriving. You need to leave.
Yeah.
So like, what is the alternative? You keep coming up, and then they're taking you down.
No, then it's like then you have to. I mean, I guess the point is that you have to integrate into their society, right?
Right.
That you can't. They would rather you not do for self as much as they would rather you do whatever you have to do to assimilate,
or leave completely,
or put it on logs, which. I'm sorry for what happened to your town. Hilarious visual.
Yeah, that is
silly. Put the houses on logs and they're dragging them through the town on horses and on their backs.
I live in a house. My shit ain't even set up to put on. Like, if you tell me I gotta go on logs tonight.
Bro.
Tonight.
The idea that there was one dude who heard the news and had to put his house on logs by himself.
Yeah. I like to think that there was a nigga that was ready. Everybody said Ray was crazy leaving his house on the logs. Everybody said Ray's stupid. Now we gotta go southeast.
Look at me now.
Who's ready?
Who's the engine in this little train now? It's Raymond.
Yeah, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Radio, you bitch.
King of the Southeast.
You call me Ray Wheels Jackson.
I'm taking 3 lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is devastating to think about.
Yeah.
That this is where our history starts. It reminds me a little bit of Manhattan Beach. I think very recently, probably in the past couple of years, there was a black family that apparently was the sort of like original like proprietors of this major section of Manhattan Beach. And they are just now getting some version of like,
I saw something about that.
Yeah. Like an attempt at getting money recouped for what essentially was like burned and stolen from them type shit. It's all nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's vast, it's rich. It really, the highway thing for me at least reminds me of how little I know about what was actually done to black people.
Yeah.
And in a beautiful way where you're like, sometimes you can become a little like, all right, motherfucker, I get it. With some of like the hardship of it all. And it's a nice reminder that like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah.
There's still
100%.
so much more shit that you missed.
100%.
No, I completely, that's like, I feel like in looking at some of the, like, looking at where the highways hit and where they like cross, it was like, oh, it's the same kind of thing. But it's just these neighborhoods, these places where people were thriving, were doing so well, like, I can't imagine having to like you built a whole life and like you're doing like you got a community, you got kids, you know, everything's going well for you. And then they're like, no, just kidding. It's all gone. How devastating that would have been and how like painful like to rebuild after that.
Yeah, where do you go?
Right.
And everyone's scattered and it becomes like, and now they just got a highway through Vallejo.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know why Vallejo is the city I picked.
No.
That's okay.
Yeah, you picked a good one.
I don't know where that is.
It's Northern California. It's where E40's from.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Also Mac Dre.
Okay.
I think I just treated Bay rappers like they're all from Oakland.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say San Francisco.
Yeah.
I just assumed y'all.
There are some in San Francisco. Shout out to Cougnut, Hill Manor Players, Rapping Forte.
All right.
You know. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I love Cougnut.
I think you would like him. He's very funny.
Okay, I'm down to try Cougnut. I think we're done.
Okay.
I think we did it. This is, I think, a gorgeous episode. One of our better. One of our better pieces. Rachel, could you tell the people where they could find you? What cool shit you have going on?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Rachel Pegram, and my album came out, and so you can buy that.
Yeah, go buy the album. Go listen to it. I assume on all the
platforms. You know, that one, this
Tidal?
one, the other. It's even on Tidal.
Hey,
yeah, it's even on Tidal.
Let's
For
go.
my Tidal heads.
Hell yeah.
I would say the
Tidal.
blackest music streaming option.
Is it?
Yeah.
I got Tidal.
I think Tidal.
Yeah.
I got a playlist on Tidal.
I don't know any white people who exclusively have Tidal.
I have one white friend who is exclusively on Tidal.
Wow.
Okay.
Uh-huh. She got in there and she said, I'm committed.
Yeah.
And everything's over there.
Just like
That's
that
really
one
how it
Beyonce
feels.
album
Yeah.
for a week and a half
And
was
she's
on
like,
here.
this is where I am now.
Yeah, yeah.
This is home. For
You know
me.
what I like about Tidal? When you go to an artist, the like top songs will be different than they are for other streamers because it's like more black people. So like the DMX top 10 is different than if you go to
it's
like
not Party Up the way that it is.
if you go to
Okay.
Wait,
that's
I like that.
interesting.
That's nice.
That is nice.
it is. It's
So
really
Spotify, I think, is very generic. It is
Yes.
you
I never had
have to hunt.
Mhm.
If you're trying to discover an artist, you have to hunt to get to a B side of
Yes.
their shit. Like
Really?
it's not,
Mhm. It's not actively available.
yeah,
They're
just,
not like presenting that to you.
no,
Right.
they present like, yo, here's all the shit you will absolutely have heard of them.
Well, then
And then
come
you'll
on
need to
over to
dig.
Tidal, y'all. The water's warm. I could probably get y'all a playlist. I got a playlist over there. It's called Hardy's and Bullshit, David Bory. I swear, it's official.
You keep talking about this one playlist.
Yeah. No, not that I made. That I made in conjunction with Tidal. I'm a member of the Tidal family.
This is your playlist.
This is my playlist.
I see.
On
Oh, this
Tidal.
isn't just
You need
like
to
a
present that
personal
differently.
playlist.
Yeah, no,
I
that,
was
it was
like-
really, I was really getting my feelings hurt. I was like,
No,
I was like, man, they're really like, shit.
Yeah,
No,
no, it
I
felt-
didn't understand.
Oh, you thought it was like my workout mix?
Yeah.
Yes.
It felt like you were trying to get us in on new music.
Right.
Oh no, I'm good, man.
Like an MLM.
I
They're
don't
like,
want that.
you want to listen to my playlist? Why? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck about what you be listening
Yeah,
to.
no, that sucked.
Yeah. But that's
sucks.
cool that Tidal was like, nah, you got to
Yeah.
give a fuck about what
Yeah,
this is.
That's
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Congrats.
Well, go listen to David's Tidal mix.
Listen to Hardy's and Bullshit on Tidal.
And what else can they do for you?
Cool Guy Jokes 87 on Instagram. Go to patreon.com/David Bory. Purchase my special, Birth of a Nation, with the G. It's so funny. And then go to all the streaming services, mostly Tidal, and you can listen to the album, and it's different jokes. So you can listen to the album, and then you could buy the special, tell your family to buy the special.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And as always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman on all social media platforms. You can see me live. I will be March 27th and through the 29th. I'll be in the Vermont Comedy Club. And then April 10th, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City at Wise Guys. And then April 17th, I'm going to be at the Wise Guys in Las Vegas. And you can send us your own drops, your own conspiracy theories. You could tell us which music streaming service Asian people prefer. Send it all to mymommapod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Give us a call at 844-LIL-MOMS. We would love to hear your sweet, sweet voices.
Great messages.
We're getting a lot of good messages.
Our drunk messages.
A lot of y'all are blacking out and then calling us. And that is scary, but we respect it and we don't want you to stop. So keep on calling 844-LIL-MOMS. Buy the merch, rate, subscribe, review, do it all. And remember, love on yourself. Bye, bitch.
How did you get here? Bitch, I called the bus. Nobody supposed to be here. Well, bitch, I came to fuck.
My Momma Told Me is a production of Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network and iHeart Podcasts.
Created and hosted by Langston Kerman.
Co-hosted by David Bory.
Executive produced by Will Ferrell, Hansani, and Olivia Aguilar.
Co-produced by Bay Wang.
Edited and engineered by Justin Conner.
Music by Nick Chambers.
Artwork by Dogon Krieger.
You can now watch episodes of My Momma Told Me on YouTube. Follow at My Momma Told Me and subscribe to our channel.